What's poppin', y'all? Are old rappers back in style? Because one of the most controversial statements that Malice, who is the other half of Clips with Pusha T, has made throughout this rollout, and the rollout's still continuing even after the album's dropped, is the following. I think hip-hop has kind of jinxed itself into thinking that there is such a thing as too old that should never be accepted. Either you got the talent or you don't. You could be old, you could be young. If you ain't got it, then you don't have it. And it's funny that this is the most controversial thing he said, because he kind of got turned into a meme just staring at whatever his brother Pusha T has been saying. And this was via Complex. And I think this is a really good thing to talk about, because if you rewinded to 2018, 2019, maybe even 2020, when you had people like Roddy Ricch coming out relatively young, you would think that, it's pack it up for older rappers. It's done. But TikTok really democratized everything. Now, this isn't really about TikTok, but I think the reason why we had this notion is because a lot of the early hip hop artists were really young. Like, think about Biggie and Pac. These guys both died at 25 years old. I think they both died. I know Pac died at 25 years old, which is crazy to think about. And hip hop as well was a really fresh genre. Like, hip hop celebrated its 50th anniversary just like a couple years ago, a year or two ago. So it's been 50 years. People didn't really have time to not only develop the sound of the genre and develop their skills, but time to get old. And when we saw, I would say, like, I wouldn't say hip hop peaked, but when the music quality, like, you look at the music between the 80s and the 90s, and it's night and day. And you look at the music between the 90s and the 2000s, rap music wise, overall quality, and it's like, whoa. And then to the early 2010s, it really got polished, up to the mid 2010s, I would say. And the young guys, they got resourceful enough to where they were able to make good enough sounding music with a lot less equipment. So we got this SoundCloud wave of a lot of it being slop, a lot of it being good for the moment, and some of it ended up lasting, like a Juice WRLD's music, XXXTentacion's music, and several others from that era. But a lot of people like Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, a lot of that music just really aged poorly. And these guys were all young, and they were really pushing that, you basically got to be a teenager. If you're older than a teenager, you unk status. And we're seeing that's not the case. I would say at the forefront of that was Young Dolph and Griselda, because Young Dolph, he got it out the mud off of mixtapes, grinding for a very, very long time. Granted, he started rapping young, but he didn't hit his stride until he was a bit older. And I would also give credit, of course, to 2 Chainz. Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, he released that after he was 40. Right now, you've got Future, who's in his 40s, killing it. Just absolutely tearing the game up. And I just don't get tired of Future's music. Yeah, Future's 41 years old. The big 3 are nearing 40. The big 3, J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. Although, we had J. Cole a little bit on the offhand side, yay. People that are really still releasing relevant music, and a lot of the young guys are getting cycled through, oddly enough. Like, you have this wave of like 18 to 22-year-olds that were in the underground that were supposed to blow up. Like, think of like a Can, an Autumn, a Summers, and those guys got cycled through, and we got a new wave. Like a Yeet, a Sofago, a couple other guys. And Yeet didn't get cycled through, but Sofago for a while did. Now he's back on it, which I'll talk about that in a different video. I promise that is coming out. It'll be the Jack Boys video. And then you've got like these newer guys that keep coming out. You've got a 2 Hollis, who isn't really a rapper, but you've got these new guys that never really break. And then you've got these older guys, like, for example, I would also give credit to Nas. And let me play you guys this clip first from a fan who gives his own perspective of hip-hop history and the old rappers. He's saying that they're better than the young rappers. So I'm going to play you guys that right now.
I was bumping the new Clips album today, and it made me realize something. We live in a very unique era of hip-hop. For the first time probably in hip-hop history, the old rappers are better than the young rappers, and the old rappers are more successful and popular than the young rappers. And for all y'all that are saying, what are you talking about? I guarantee your favorite rapper is at least 30. Even rappers that you don't think of as being older are older. Ogeezy is in his 30s. Lil Durk is 32. Gunna is 32. Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, they damn near 40. Like, all the rappers in their 30s and 40s are the top rappers. Larry June is in his mid-30s. Griselda is in their mid-30s. Like, even the new artists that are coming out, the new artists, the new wave of rappers, they're 30 plus. I can't think of no big name rappers right now that are under 30 years old. I think Chief Keef might be the only one, and he's still probably like damn near late 20s at this point. I can't think of any really top rappers that are not at least 30 years old, and I don't think that has ever happened before in the history of hip-hop, where the 30 plus to 40-year-old rappers are the ones dominating the game, and the young teen and 20-year-old rappers are the ones that can't catch a break. This is impressive.
This is, I wouldn't say misleading, but old rappers being 30 plus, like some people say, well, these guys aren't old. A lot of rappers we're talking about, I'm not going to be rapping at 30 or 35, or if I'm rapping at 40, it's not a good thing. I will say, though, that for a G Herbo and a Lil Durk, their music has always been like this, and they are rapping. Like, they're making good music, and Lil Durk has developed, but we can look at no further than a Nas, for instance, somebody that's completely had a career renaissance from linking up with a producer, Hit Boy. And I think production has a very, very big, it plays a very, very big role in something like this. But he ended up winning Grammys and being nominated for multiple Grammys. Pusha T, who's 43 right now, Clips is having a very successful rollout, but even It's Almost Dry did very, very well. And the album before that he did with Ye Production. Jay, who is in his 50s, he isn't really dropping like that. Maybe he'll hop a verse here and there. Lil Wayne is still active. People said the Carter 6 sucked. I think they not overrated it. I think they had too high expectations. I thought the Carter 6 was okay. Like, we still saw glimpses of Wayne being a very, very skilled rapper. I think it was a lot of the production that wasn't really all the way there. 2 Chainz has still been dropping. Black Thought has been dropping, who's almost 50. Who else? Like I said, Nas. We've got Griselda Crew, who blew up in this era, which is different from a rapper that's already known and had a reputation when they were young and still being able to do this. Eminem still crushing it. His last album. Who else can we mention? And I like the fact that they're still getting commercial, not just commercial attention, they're still getting critical acclaim. And I do think the best part about all of this is that it allows for record labels to not take the risk, but to put budgets behind these older rappers. I think what happened is record labels were like, hey, it makes more sense for us to invest money into these younger acts, that as opposed, because we already got the back catalog of the older rappers, and us spending money on them right now, it's not going to be that much of an ROI. So let's just focus on the younger acts. But now I think they're seeing, hey, there's more of a certainty in investing in promotion and marketing for these older artists. Like, their fan bases are stronger, they're still streaming as well, and the stigma around being old is starting to fade. Now, like I said, most of the rappers that are blowing up right now are still young while they're blowing up, and the ones that are doing well were young when they blew up. But this isn't a conversation that we would be having years ago. It would just be laughed off or scoffed at. And I will say, yeah, the older rappers are rapping skill-wise better than the younger rappers, but isn't that something that we should expect? Because they've had more years in the game, they've had more time to practice. We also got to mention that Lupe Fiasco is still releasing. I always got to mention that. He's still releasing music, releasing amazing music, rapping at an elite level, and he's getting significantly less attention than all of the people that I've mentioned thus far, except for maybe a Black Thought, which for those of you guys remember when they had a podcast together for a little while, that I feel like that's an interesting piece of hip hop history. But I like this. It's everyone's got a space now in hip hop because it's so big. Like, it's just become such a gigantic genre. And if you look at a pop music, you had people like, damn, I keep forgetting the guy that passed away. What's his name? Not Morrissey. He had the album Black Star. David Bowie. Yeah, I was thinking Ziggy Stardust, and I thought Ziggy Marley for a second. But David Bowie was a pop act who he dropped Black Star, which some people consider one of his best projects. I consider it a great project, but I wasn't much of a David Bowie listener prior to this project, to be honest. I found this project, listened to it. It was before he passed away, and I really enjoyed it. But this guy was really old at that time, especially for a pop act, to be dropping something, and it performed well. People received it well. So I'm glad that old people are old people. Like, even the rappers that are here aren't really that old, but they can continue their careers because this is something that was a little bit solely left to producers that were behind the keys, that were still able to executive produce and have long careers, and rappers had this short shelf life. And we're seeing that the market is dictating that's not the case. People are willing to put their money behind the shows, the merch, the bundles, the cassettes, the memorabilia, the collectibles that are being released by these older rappers. And I think that they connect to the substance with them as well. And this is something that is changing within hip hop. Like, people want either substance in the sounds of the music. Like, for example, like a Two Hollis, he's a young guy, but there's like, when you listen to the sounds of the music, you're like, man, there's something here. It's almost like early Travis Scott. Like, whilst early Travis Scott wasn't saying too much, like he isn't saying too much right now, he's one of the rappers that's able to rap about basically nothing. His sound, you could feel the sound there. You're like, damn, there's emotion here. There's the story is being told through the sound. So if that's not the case with the younger rappers, the older rappers are bringing the lyrics. And even younger rappers are still doing well that are lyricists as well. And this is something that 5+ years ago, you wouldn't really see. I think people got burnt out of this just vapid copy and paste rappers that are just giving you the same slop, not saying anything, and not doing anything innovative sound-wise either, that it crowded out that market and it made people look towards rappers that are saying something. And it doesn't have to be like something emotional, or like, for example, like a lot of like hustle music, like a lot of these street rappers, they are lyrical in the way that they're rapping about hustling, but that's something that can relate to many people, whether they're hustling in the streets or whether they're hustling to get a medical degree. The reason why I make that comparison is because there was I remember this tweet about this doctor saying that when he would go to medical school, every single day he would listen to Young Jeezy, because Young Jeezy's hustle music made him just more motivated to study and pursue that. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Do you think there's some truth to this, or do you think people are a little bit delusional and the young guys are still running the game? I would say the young guys are still the most influential on the youth crowd, but the older guys there's more longevity. I would say that there's more longevity in a rapper's career now, and age is being disregarded more and more, whereas it was one of the topics that was at the forefront of a rapper's career. Like, this rapper is this age now it doesn't even seem to be considered much, and the clips are a great example of that. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one.